Andor Season 2 is finally here. I just got done watching the first 3 episodes. I'm here to do a spoiler review. But before I get into spoilers, I'll do just a brief overview of the first 3 episodes. If you have not seen the first season, I highly recommend watching it. Obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, but even not, check out this show. Now, I can't guarantee that you're going to understand all the lore and whatnot, but this show is so incredibly well made. It is not like any Star Wars property you've seen before. It is so well made. It really feels like you're watching a movie. It's really movie quality. And I really think this show is what we imagined Star Wars to be when they announced Disney+. It's very bittersweet because you think about how good Mandalorian, Boba Fett... I shouldn't say Mandalorian, because Season 1 and 2 I love. But Season 3 of Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, even the Obi-Wan show, I think all are severely worse in quality than this. Now, obviously, this isn't a Jedi-centric show. This is about Cassian Andor, who we know from Rogue One, and we know from Season 1, played by Diego Luna, who I think does a great job. I think he did not get enough recognition for Season 1, and I really hope he gets an Emmy nomination for this season. I really love the release schedule that Disney laid out. 3-episode release every week for 4 weeks for a total of 12 episodes. I obviously would watch it week to week, but I think the way these episodes are structured, they're not boring, but they really mesh together. Like Tony Gilroy, the director, said, in 3-episode arcs. Each 3 episodes take place in about a year period, so we're going to span about 4 years. And yeah, the show is just so incredibly well made. One thing I love about the show is just how it uses the spaceships. I feel like we're always so focused on Jedi and Sith and lightsabers, but really the core of Star Wars for me, even above the Jedi lore and all of that, is the spaceships. There is an infinite amount of things you can do to make spaceships cool. I love the Mandalorian's new ship, the Razor Quest. I did a rankings of my favorite Star Wars spaceships, which I should probably repost or do again. But I just think it's the backbone of the entire franchise. It's just so incredibly cool. It doesn't matter how old I am. I just always think the spaceships are so cool. And now that they have so much more technology, I really think it's not an easy thing to do, but such like a huge opportunity to make things look cool. And so I think, there's a lot of cool spaceship stuff, TIE fighter stuff specifically. And I think, I don't want to say slow burn. It's just like a regular plot. It feels like you're watching a real show. It's not just like a series of bits and jokes. So I'm going to get into my spoiler review now. So if you haven't seen the show, go watch it and come check out my spoiler review from this point on. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we start off with Cassian. It seems to be in an Imperial training facility, and he has like another spy in there, a woman who works with him, and he tries to steal this TIE fighter. It is the scene that I reacted to and that they released a couple of weeks ago, and I really thought it was a great scene. The TIE fighter looked awesome. Inside the cockpit looked great. Diego Luna, I think, did a great job because he's obviously not... I mean, he might be like in a prop spaceship, but obviously all the stuff that's happening and the spaceship is like going all over and crashing into things isn't real. So I think like the acting that goes behind being in the spaceship is really difficult. Obviously, Harrison Ford did a great job in the original movies, being in the Millennium Falcon. It's really tough to do. As this kind of goes on, he goes and lands the ship, and he's kind of taken hostage by these, not rebels, but just these people in the forest who are just kind of like outlaws, younger crowd, not too smart, they're a little dumb. I didn't love this. I feel like this was actually the weakest plot, was Cassian's plot throughout the first 3 episodes. So I didn't love it. It wasn't terrible. It got a little bit stale. The other plots, we have, I think one of the best scenes, Ben Mendelsohn is back as Director Krennic, and we basically got the first meeting where he talks about not even the Death Star, but what seems like the team that's going to put together the Death Star. And they're talking about this planet Gorman, and they pretty much... they want to harvest all of its resources without really starting a war. And their biggest concern is essentially like having control, but every time they don't want the Empire doesn't want these little battles showing up, right? Every time there's a little battle, something happens. And they essentially don't want bad PR. And so we get to this, the planet, I forgot what it's called, but they're essentially farmers, and Bix and Brasso, who are characters from the first season, are back. And they're essentially, undercover, and they're not really sure, like, if the Empire is going to come check on them. As the story develops, the Empire comes and pretty much does a raid. And there's a very intense scene, pretty much a sexual assault, rape scene, which was pretty intense in Star Wars. She eventually got out of it, Bix, and eventually killed the officer, but it was definitely a pretty intense, mature scene for a Star Wars property. I've seen some arguing, hello Murph, online about, if it's appropriate for Star Wars, and, I don't really think, I don't know why people are taking it, it's just a TV show. Obviously, it's not a pleasant scene, but I'm not really sure why people are having such a big issue with it. Other plot points, Luthen and Mon Mothma, we got again, they're kind of trying to lay low. They're still trying to make, they're still just struggling with the rebellion and trying to make the rebellion work. Come on, sit down, Murph. Sit down, like this. Come on, say hello. Come on, say hello. You're gonna sit like this. Okay, there we go, like this. Of course he doesn't want to. So, Luthen, played by Stellan Skarsgård, and Mon Mothma, they're at this party scene, and they're essentially just working behind the scenes, really, really, worried about Cassian. They're not really sure where the mission is, and a lot of these scenes, they're kind of hard to, portray in a review, but it's just really, really strong dialogue. It feels like you're watching a real show, and it's really strong. We also got some scenes, I forgot his name, but the character, who had the office job, and he essentially is dating Deidre, the blonde-haired woman from the first season, and there's a whole scene in episode 3, where she meets his mom, and I think these scenes are good. I think it's really good to have, these real-life scenes in Star Wars to really see, all of the romantic interests in Star Wars are always, Obi-Wan, and, what's the princess's name? Oh, I forgot her name. The princess from Mandalore, or we have Anakin and Padme, but we never really got realistic people. So that was good to see. And I just love, there seems to be a new guy. He's a manager now, and there's a new guy who's interviewing for the role. And it seems like it's just funny to see. He's essentially an auditor, and it's funny to see these corporate roles within Star Wars and how these regular people kind of live their lives. The episode 3 ends with Brasso dying. Stormtrooper actually gets him, and the Stormtroopers I really like in this show too. The voice is perfect. It's like a take on the original voice. It sounds exactly like the voice that I heard in the video games growing up, specifically Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. They're just that classic Stormtrooper voice. So that stuff is really good, and the episode ends with Bix, Cassian, and forgot who else, but they essentially get off the planet in that TIE fighter that he stole, and he's on his next mission. And so I thought the first 3 episodes were really, really strong. It's not the type of show where there's climactic moments, but there aren't going to be climactic moments that are going to be, clipped onto Twitter and kind of go viral. It's just a very, very well-made show in totality. I'm super excited that it's back. I think Star Wars really, really needs this. It's the perfect time for this show. This would not be a good time for Ahsoka Season 2 to come out or anything goofy like that. Star Wars really needed this, and honestly, Disney really needed this. So I'm really, really excited to just be back talking Star Wars. I honestly want to talk about Star Wars more, not only just when new projects come out, because it's really my favorite thing. So thanks, guys, for watching. Like I said, I highly recommend watching the show. I'm super excited to continue talking about it for the next few weeks. We got the Mandalorian movie coming out. Now we got the Gosling movie coming out. So I'm just super excited in general. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll see you on the next one.